I'm excited to welcome from the hard-hitting rock and roll heavy metal band Wings of Steel guitarist Parker Halub, coming to us from Los Angeles, California, USA, to the Path Radio Spotlight here in the Greater Toronto Area, Ontario, Canada. Welcome to the North, Parker. Happy to have you here. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. Like, did I get that right though? Is it Los Angeles?
S- Sort of. I mean, if you're not from Los Angeles, I technically live in a suburb that's just outside the city. It's called Thousand Oaks, but most people, if you're not from the area, you don't know what that is. So it's basically LA.
There's something different go on in Thousand Oaks than in LA, or?
Well, it's a little I mean, I think with most big cities, you have the big urban metropolitan areas, and then you have the suburbs just outside the city. And it's a little bit, I mean, I lived in Hollywood for a while, and maybe
Oh,
we'll
right
talk
on.
about that later. But compared to where I live now, and I live where I grew up, but where I grew up in Hollywood, like it is a pretty different landscape. But I mean, it's all, you know, if you without traffic, I'm only like a 40-minute drive away from everything. So it's
You know what? I like that you said without traffic, because see, I'm in a burb here in the I say Toronto, Greater Toronto Area. I'm up here in Richmond Hill, and
Mhm.
without traffic, I'm probably a half hour from downtown Toronto. With traffic, I'm about an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's the same thing here.
That's pretty wild. But look, we didn't get together tonight to talk about how long it takes us to get down to the core of our cities. We got together to talk about some music and what you're doing with music. And look, I was watching some of your videos. You've got videos, tons of videos on YouTube, and they're killer videos. If anybody hasn't checked it out, killer videos. And I was checking out your website, wingsofsteelband.com, and then all your other social media. You guys are pretty heavy on social media. You're pretty in tune with your fans and people who are following you. Lots of comments. And some fans are commenting like they're putting you guys in the same style of music as bands like Skid Row, Queensryche, Whitesnake, Riot, even Iron Maiden. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching you guys, and you're just the sound and the vocals, everything just wildly, like, you just got such range. It's so cool to listen to. But are you guys more metal than rock? Where do you put yourselves?
I mean, it's a great question, and I think part of what makes this band what it is that we didn't necessarily sit down to try and fit into one specific style. I mean, I know anybody who's in tune with the heavy metal culture knows it's all you have a subgenre for every you got doom metal and power metal and hair metal, and you got all this stuff. And I mean, the way that we do things here is, I mean, me and Leo, we both have a wide range. I mean, you can, if you look around my room here, I got Scorpion, Sabbath. I mean, then that's just a tiny thing. I mean, there's a lot of music, from anything from the 70s, classic rock, 80s, even some modern stuff. Like, and I think ultimately it all comes out in our music. So yeah, I mean, it's really great too, because we get a lot of comparisons to a lot of these awesome bands from back in the day, like Great White and Whitesnake and Queensryche and Maiden. And it's like, they're all true, because there's bits and pieces of all those bands in there. But it is but at the same time too, like, we don't it's not like we're looking to just replicate that one band. I think in a sense, like, it's just more so an organic, like, this is the music we like, and this is our way of kind of expressing our own thing. And it's a combination of all the musical stuff that inspires us. So
I know before I even read those comments and I was listening, it's funny because I saw Queensryche one time open up for Van Halen, and they were just in my face, hard hitting. You just wanted to listen because they just grabbed you, and that was the first band I thought of, and then I thought of early Skid Row, and then everything else kind of filtered in. But what, like, you said, hey, look at my T-shirt, look what I got in back, on my walls. What made you gravitate to that? Like, I mean, it's 2023. I've been talking with a bunch of different bands lately. For me, there just seems to be this resurgence of rock and metal and just the heavier, rock and roll sound seems to be coming back. But what made you guys, you're a young band, what made you guys gravitate to that sound?
I mean, it's if it was one cold hard thing, I wish I would tell you, but I mean, I think really it's like we're just kind of we just stumbled across the music in our own ways, and like this is just the stuff that we gravitate towards. Most people our age is the stuff they're listening to, it doesn't connect with me. And I mean, I've always been kind of an outlier, but with the musical taste,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean that's pretty much all it really is. Is I when I was younger, I stumbled across Journey, and then I was like, whoa, this is really cool. And then I discovered Metallica, and I was like, oh, and then it just the everything just kind of unraveled, and I'm like, that's just the music that I connect with, and with Leo, it's pretty much the similar situation where that's just like that's just our thing. That's our passion. So I mean, that's pretty much it.
So Parker, God gave rock and roll to you is what I think is happening.
Yep.
Right? No Kiss reference there whatsoever. So do you have a favorite band? Like you mentioned a couple there, but do you have one that you're like, yeah, man, that was my go-to band?
I mean, it's I think in the same way that music, when you write music, it's kind of a reflection of where you're at as a person. It's also the music you're listening to is it changes, and it grows along the path of your journey. And like I was saying earlier, like it's the music that goes and influences the stuff that we write, it's all over the place. So
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm gonna, and this is funny because whenever I get interviewed and they ask me, what are your favorite bands? It's like, who am I gonna throw out today? Like, there's so many great bands, but I mean, I really love, I mean, just whoever I can think off the top of my head, like Blue Murder is really awesome,
Oh, wow.
Whitesnake's awesome, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, I mean, Scorpions, God, there's
It's
a
all
there's
it's
there's
all
a
of
lot
them.
of Diamond Head, Saxon. I mean, I can sit here and try to dig through my brain and try to pick up
I
some of
get it.
these guys. Like there's a lot of great bands. A
Okay,
Dio,
okay. How about
like
Dio? You know what? Dio comes up so much, right? Like, and how can it not, right?
Mhm.
Okay, let me whittle it down a little bit because you're the axe man, you're the guitar guy, right? How
Mhm.
about guitarists? You have a favorite guitarist in all those bands, or?
I mean, it's the same thing, and oftentimes, like my favorite guitar players, it always coincides with the music because the way that I look at being a guitar player is like I think you know at the end of the day the most important thing is the song and the energy and the expression that you're delivering. It's not necessarily a lot of guys that like to fixate on the technical ability or this, but I mean, some of my favorite, we're talking about Blue Murder. John Sykes is
Yeah,
great. A guy like Neil Schon, he has some
yeah.
serious chops, but I mean, he's really great at delivering melodies and stuff. Michael Schenker from UFO MSG, John Norum from Europe. Um, yeah, I'm coming up blank, but I mean,
No, I
there's a
thought,
it's Joe Satriani. I mean,
oh, Satch.
yeah,
Okay.
like all these guys, and I've taken a lot of tiny little bits and pieces from everybody, and it's kind of gradually morphed into my playing. Tony Iommi actually is another
Uh,
great guy, and there's the thing is too is there's a lot of there's guitar. They all bring like certain things to the table. So like I think one of the compliments I get, and then anytime you play something fast in the style of music that we play, somebody goes Ingve, but and Ingve has a lot of really great depth to his playing, but like from him, like okay, I pick up like the way he phrases and like some certain lines that he does, but then I'll look at a guy like Tony Iommi and like I pick up like the way he writes riffs and the way he writes song, and then same thing with a guy like Zach Wild, and like there's all these little pieces from different guitar players that I kind of pick up and I go, wow, that's cool. I want to learn that and bring that into my own thing. But
I get it. You're blending. You're blending from some like you mentioned some iconic names there. So you're blending from all the iconic names, and it's a testament to the way that you're playing that you're able to draw in from all these things. I just thought maybe with the hair you were going to throw in Slash there at some point because you got
Oh well,
the,
yeah, of course,
you know,
of course. When I was 11 years old, actually, I read Slash's his autobiography. So
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Slash was
well,
is just Snake Pit or something, or no, that's the
I think
album.
it's just called Slash. I think
Slash, yeah, I think you're right.
unless there's, I mean, there might be another one out there too,
Yeah.
but
Hey,
yeah.
so look at you threw out Leo's name, and I guess the primary members of the band are yourself on guitar, and you play bass, and then Leo Unermark on lead vocals. And Leo, I'm sorry if I said your last name. If it's Unermark, I apologize. I'll figure it out at some point. But look at you. I know it seems like you've had Mike Mayhem on drums. Hopefully, I get this right. Stefan John Billette on rhythm guitars. John Schenkel on bass.
Mhm.
And so you've got these mix of guys coming in, but I see, up front in the center is yourself and Leo a lot. Where are you heading with the lineup for the band? Is there a rotation happening with live shows, or what can we expect as fans to when it comes to the members that are playing?
So I mean, pretty much this band is pretty much all the creative process and all the writing. I mean, it's basically me and Leo running the ship. And we've had Mike come in. Mike is he's tracked all the drums for us on all of our two releases that we have out.
Hey,
But and then Stefan and Johnny both come and help us out play live. I think when it comes to, they've basically been working with us as hired guns pretty much.
okay.
But I mean the thing is it's also, I think every band has its dynamic, and it has, okay, who contributes this, who does what. And I think me and Leo, being the people we are, we have a clear vision and we know what we want to do, and we just need people who are gonna help us bring that vision to life. And then, in terms of how somebody else can come and become like a full member and all that stuff, like that's just, it's a relationship. It's like any other relationship.
Yeah.
It develops naturally over time. And um we really like working with our guys that we're working with now, and we really hope that they'll continue to work with us and continue to grow and develop the chemistry that we have. But that's pretty much the gist of
Yeah,
it.
right on. So,
Uh,
Parker, are you and Leo, like, are you actually all the two of you are creating all the tracks? Like, so you've got your drum tracks for the songs, and like you've got your bass lines, like the two of you are coming up with all of that.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much our writing process is we'll, I mean, generally we have some, I mean, being a musician, you're always creating stuff. You sit down, you're playing guitar, you're like, oh, that's cool. Take out your phone, you got a
Yeah.
little memo of it, and then somewhere down the line, you're like, hey, dude, I got this awesome riff or whatever. Um, but yeah, so usually, me and Leo will right where I'm sitting right now, we'll sit down and hey man, I got this riff, and then we'll build out the song, and then I mean, nowadays, we have all this great technology available to us where I can record rhythm guitar, and then I can go and I can lay in all the other lead guitars and all the other guys, and
Yeah.
then I could put in a bass line, and then we can sit there and we can, okay, we can write in a drum part. So I mean, compositionally, we're pretty much taking care of everything, and that's kind of like what I was saying earlier. Like we do have a pretty clear vision of how we want, and that does come down to the music as well. As we say, okay, over this riff, we want this kind of a bass line, and um, yeah. So
It sounds like you guys have figured this out really early on in your music careers.
well, I mean, this kind of happened partially out of necessity, partially out of just where stuff was at, but I mean, this our dynamic really, and we really started to write songs because we met back in 2019 when we were going to this music school, and then I we basically finished, and then we were out there in Hollywood living in an apartment, and then there's COVID, and there's we're all stuck inside, and you can't do any live shows or anything like that. But we're sitting there and we're like, well, let's write some songs. And so at that time, we honestly didn't really know anybody else to work with. And because of COVID, we were all stuck inside. So we just got really good at envisioning everything and saying, okay, this is what we want to do. And like, between COVID and then the release of our first EP in 2022, we had a lot of time to like refine and develop our sound and all that. So that's pretty much what it came from. And we've just said, you know what, like this works really well for us. Let's keep rolling with it.
So I was
Uh,
gonna, you answered my next question. My next question was gonna be, how did you and Leo kind of get together? So the pandemic brought you guys together, or was there something before that you said?
well, no, so yeah, we met back in April of 2019. So we're both going to this
Okay.
this music school out here in Hollywood called Musicians Institute. And I mean, like we kind of both went there with the expectation that there would be a lot of like rocker people around. It's like, okay, you know, cool, we'll go there, we'll get some knowledge, we'll meet some people, we can start a band. But you know, walking around, you know, there was a few people, but it was like, you know, it was pretty much me and Leo. We were like the rocker dudes there. So, you know, inevitably we crossed paths, and you know, we were just talking. I was like, hey man, you know, you know the band Blue Murder? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, dude, you're the first human being I've met who knows who that band is, you know. It's like, all right, we're gonna start a band. He's like, hell yeah, I'm all right, fuck yeah. And the rest is history, you know.
All right, on Blue Murder. That's how it all started.
Yep.
So look at let's talk a little bit about your logo. Your band logo is, I see that on wingsofsteelband.com, and you got two horses, one's black and one's white. You got the wings spread out as they face each other. You know, your band name, Wings of Steel, over the horses. It's a wicked logo. I just love it. I like, the first time I saw it, I was like, man, I love it. I'm attracted to it. I want to, I see the logo and I'm like, I want to know more now. I want to hear more. It gave me that. And you mentioned Journey earlier. It gave me a little bit of that Journey vibe or whatever, just the look of it. But who comes up with the logo? Why the horses and wings? Where's the name come from? Give us what you can give us without giving us too much, I guess, you know?
Well, you know, in the simple answer is it kind of came from the same place that the music came from. I mean, we pretty much in so second like summer and fall of 2021, we decided, okay, we're gonna, you know, get these songs done and recorded professionally, and then we're gonna put them out as our debut release. And so then inevitably comes up the thing, all right, we need some artwork. So I if I could find it, it's somewhere in here. I drew a little sketch on a napkin or on a little piece of paper, and then we went and here it is. Okay, so this is the our first album cover right there. This is
Yeah.
the first conception of it. This was
Oh,
done
wow.
by me, and yeah. So basically, we took this. I mean, because we are just sitting down and like, all right, what would be a cool album cover? You know, okay, here's the you know, and then we went and we found this local tattoo artist who actually does he does all my tattoos that I have here as well. But
Wow.
and so we basically gave him that. We sent him the music. We're like, okay, listen to the music so you know where we're coming from. And then he basically sent us out, and we're like, whoa, you know, this is awesome. So that's that's pretty much how it went. um,
So, yeah, you know, that sketch you have, you should, like, I don't know, laminate it or something, because someday you're gonna put it, it'll be like in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or something,
I
or
know, I
like
know.
you made me think of, I don't know why, Janie Lane, and I don't remember what song it was, but I remember him saying a story about, it might have been Cherry Pie from Warrant, where they said, "Oh yeah, we were just in the restaurant and we wrote that song on a napkin," and he had the napkin and he kind of showed the napkin or whatever. You gave me those old vibes there, so I was like, "Oh man, you got to hold on to that. Don't lose that sketch."
I mean,
So
that's, you know, inspiration and ideas.
yeah.
They manifest on all sorts of mediums, including some random ass post-it note or whatever. So
And then you put
yeah,
the thing
and I
on
got it
stuff,
done on
eh?
the yeah. People keep asking, oh,
Wow.
you got to do the other one, and this time I'm like,
Nah.
oh.
So yeah, the tattoo thing. How long did that tattoo take a while to do for you, or was that a like a half a day session or what?
I think all, I mean, I kind of did like all this work here and all this was between, I think it was between 3 sessions. It probably took
Wow.
between 10 and 12 hours, something like that.
Yeah, that's
I think
pretty
it's
wild.
just, I think that's pretty, pretty standard, but I don't know. Some guy, I mean, I hear about some guys they do. Like I have a friend who has a huge leg piece, and she's just like,
Wow.
"Oh yeah, I just went this guy and he did it in like an hour." I'm like, "All right," but but yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
Spencer, our artist Spencer Kelly Jury, he's a tattoo artist here in Thousand Oaks where I live, and yeah, he's awesome, you know. And I think
so
you know, it's
shout out.
kind of
You're giving him a shout out there, right?
yeah, no, he's great, man. I love him, but I mean, yeah, I think you know, our circle of people that you know we work with, we have Mike and Stefan and Johnny in the band. We have Spencer doing the artwork. We have Mr. Damien Renaud who does all the mix and mastering for our music. And you know, it's a small group of people that we're working with, but like all these guys, you know, they 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 share and they see the passion and you
Yeah.
know they see, and I think you know being able to tap into that and work and work with people who understand the energy and see where you're coming from, like it really makes what you're doing really special. So it's you know we're very humble to be able to work with these guys. It's awesome.
You know what? You know what, Parker? Listen, what you're doing, what you're all doing, comes across. Like when you watch the videos and you listen to the music, it just gels. It comes across. It feels like it's what you're supposed to be doing. It doesn't feel like you're just a bunch of guys trying to sound like another band or trying to sound like you're playing rock and roll or metal. It sounds like you're doing, and it sounds right, you know, and it sounds like it's credible. You got the credibility going on, right? You just don't have the look, you have the sound, and it's almost like you're one with your instruments. And I think that's really important. You know, as you're starting out your sets here. Listen, you kind of joked around a little bit a few minutes ago. You know, when you talked about your songs and how many you have or whatever. But look, you got two music products out. The first is your EP that you released in 2022. It's the self-titled EP, Wings of Steel. It's got 5 tracks on it. And now you recently released a 10-song album called Gates of Twilight. Um, Look, I know like you got 15 songs there or whatever, but obviously you've had a path, you've carved out a journey. You said, hey, we had a vision of where we wanted to go. What's your path? What's your journey from, you know, no pun intended, because we were talking about journey earlier, but what's your journey from the EP to your full album release where you go, yeah, we're putting out these 10 badass songs now.
I mean, really, you know, it's kind of just we just kind of you know flowed with the river on it. It's, in simple terms, it's
Uh,
you know we put out the EP and you know we didn't really have any expectation or any idea of what would happen and how people would respond or whatever. And um you know we didn't really have, I mean, we had a basic knowledge of how to use social media, but you know we didn't have a marketing team, we didn't have a huge promotional thing by it. It was basically just another release in the sea of releases that are out digitally. But I mean the response that we started getting from it, we're just like, wow, this is crazy. So inevitably, I mean, you know, the other thing too that I'll add is that our logistical situation is a little bit difficult because I'm here in the U.S. and Leo, the singer, lives in Sweden, and so basically because we don't have like a Leo doesn't have a formal residence here, and
right.
so he can basically only come here for 90 days at a time. So if we want to go and play a show or release and record an album or whatever endeavor where we need to be in the same continent, we've been limited to 90 days on those endeavors. So
Wow.
part of it's that, but you know, we put out the EP and then it did really well, and we're like, okay, you know, what can we go out on tour and do something next? Well, it's not, you know, we don't really have the opportunity to do that. Let's put out another album. And so and I mean, I think you know, when it comes to the future, I mean, that's basically we look from a business perspective. It's good to have a lot of foresight. On one hand, you can't get too detailed with it because you know how life is. Stuff plays out in ways you didn't
Yeah.
expect it to. That's just how it does it. But I mean, we basically just go wherever it makes the most sense for us to go. And I think so. I guess this kind of parlays nicely into what we're doing next year. Is we're basically we're going on our first tour and we're going to be over in Europe. And so, we're still securing all the dates and getting everything figured out. So, and that once all that's set up, it'll be announced. And if you're over there, you'll hear about it. Don't worry. But
Well, I
um,
think if we're over here, we're gonna if you guys keep doing what you're doing, we're gonna hear
mhm.
about it over here. So that's cool. And when is that, like a spring thing, a summer thing, or
Yeah, so this will be from we're looking to book from we have bookings April, May, and then June next year.
well,
Um and then also for the US, and we don't have anything set in stone yet, so we can't I don't want to promise anything, but we are working very hard to put together a tour in the US, try to get out to all of our fans in the Midwest and the East Coast as well. And then
that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
yeah, we don't. Here's disclaimer: like we don't have anything booked. There's a lot of factors at play. The logistics might prove not in our favor for it, but we are trying very hard, and we are going to if things
Well,
play out right, we will be able to get out there next year.
I'm not
But
making it up. There's a fan base that's waiting for it. And I like you floored me when you said, look, man, we got no real social media wasn't our thing, or we're just kind of, working through it. And because I was gonna say to you, well, what's your growth, right? Like from your 5-song EP to your album, but maybe your growth is really like what's exploded for you online as the fans have found you, and as organic as your music is, so too are your fans, it seems, because they're finding you and they're liking you, and they're asking stuff of you, and they're like, you read the comments and it's just like out of this world comments for you guys, right? So
yeah, I mean it's all been the our building our audience and everything. It's all been very organic, and I mean there's a few things you mentioned there, like the growth between our EP and our album, like it was pretty exponential. Like, and we
yeah.
saw it, especially. I mean, there's been some landmarks along the way that's like, wow, that really blew up. But yeah, I mean, and it's really been. I mean, we've only played 3 live shows as a band, as Wings of Steel, and all 3 of them have been here in LA. So the entire existence, or at least the vast majority of our existence exists online. But
Wow.
releasing music is only half of being the band. The other half is going out and meeting all these people and delivering it live. So, don't catch us wrong. Like we want to get out there, but like I was saying earlier, like our logistical situation is tough, and we're an independent band. Like I don't have any money. I live with my parents, and any money I do have goes right into the band. Like,
Hey, shout out
uh,
to parents though. Shout out to parents.
yeah,
That's good. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I'm very,
So
very
you know what?
fortunate.
I was gonna say to you, I was gonna say, Parker, do you consider yourselves indie musicians? And the reason I'm asking that is, and I always, it's a fine line sometimes, right? You don't have a label, but you look at what you're doing. At what point are you no longer indie musicians? But do you consider yourself indie musicians?
I mean, now we're getting into the territory of how do you define what an indie
Yeah.
musician is? And if you mean
Yeah.
if indie by indie you mean like without a label, then yes,
Yeah.
we are independent. I mean, it's like anything else in your career. I think it's a combination of you have to look at what opportunities present themselves, and which path you can take that's gonna lead you to the best results in the long term. And that's our relationship with labels, and the reason why we're independent has basically been because of that. We're not, even though, I mean, yeah, I have my opinions about the nature of how the business works. Like we're not this. It's really one of those things. Like if we can find a good situation and it's a good deal, and
Makes sense.
ultimately we're going to be able to create and do the fundamental thing that we do. That's really what matters. So if we're able to get a good deal with a label, great. If not, we can continue on our own. That's
You have
on
you
that
have
note.
you have an incredible business sense as well, it seems. So I think there's a lot of cool things that are going to happen with you guys in the band. Look, is there a song, just out of curiosity, is there a song in the new album? Because I want to talk a little bit about the new album, Gates of Twilight. Is there a song that's written for someone special, or about someone special, or about a certain special situation of any kind, or
Well, musically, not necessarily. I can see why you might, if you're thinking about the song Leather and Lace, I can see why you would you might think that. I wasn't I me and even though our thing is a collaborative thing, generally Leo writes most of the record or the lyrics. I kind of
Yeah,
like sometimes I'll say, oh, change this line or tweak this, but that's generally his
yeah.
domain. So he might be even though he's not here right now, he might be a little better suited to answer that question.
We're gonna
But I
have
mean,
to.
but on that note, though, I guess I can because it's kind of relevant.
Yeah.
Like, the when we write music, we don't necessarily like, we try to keep and lyrically especially too, like we try to keep it open for a wide range of interpretation because I mean we see this like personally, and I think the beautiful thing about music is that the song means whatever it means to you.
Mm,
um and so it's always kind of a tricky question for us when somebody asks us like what a song is about, because I mean, and even ourselves too, like we might write it about one thing, but as we're writing it, then we realize, oh, we're tapping into this much wider thing, or we're talking about this wider thing, but on a very small scale,
yeah.
or anything in between that. So it's kind of hard for us to say like, oh yeah, it's about this. Now that's just kind of our musical philosophy and how we how we see it.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
But
Sometimes,
but
I was going
but
down the path of lived experiences or something, and I was like, but that's a craft in itself. I think it's really challenging sometimes when you put yourself in a situation and write from that situation as well. So hats off to Leo as well, because I think some of the the arc of the song and the stories that you're telling, if I'm believing that they're a real story or a real something, then that's kudos to the writing style and how you're putting it together.
And I will add to that too. It's like I'm not necessarily like, this our music it's a product of our own experience. And musically it's easy to, we like to analyze and dissect things. And it's okay, you got this lick from this guitar player and you got this section from this band. This is a spin off of this. But
Yeah.
I mean in reality, I can't like I don't think any human being has the mental capacity to like create a song like that. You just like, all right, I got this thing. This is cool. All right, let's do it. It sounds like that. Yeah, okay, we'll change it. But but it's the music is definitely it comes from a very real place, and it's a very I feel like it's as a musician and a songwriter, I think it's what we do with this band is about like we try to do the most genuine thing that we can. Uh,
It's coming off. It's coming off genuine. Look, you talked about talking about places and real places. You said, look, we've played a few live shows and they haven't been too far from home or whatever. You guys played at the Whiskey. And
mhm.
I know some folks are gonna be like, what's the Whiskey? The Whiskey a go-go, just sometimes short term. We say the Whiskey. You played at the Whiskey earlier this year. How does that feel? Like, there's a lot of great bands that have passed through there. Do you get a certain vibe being on that stage and thinking, yeah, man, we're standing here at the top of the Whiskey, and how'd you feel about that?
I mean, look, I mean, just whether it's the Whiskey or any other venue that's nice to play, like just getting out there and playing the songs live at a proper volume is like, when I was a 10-year-old kid and I was like, all right, when I grow up, I want to be a guitar player, like that's what I was envisioning. So that's like, I mean, look, I love writing music and I love it. It's a beautiful thing, but like the best thing is when you're out there and you're playing live, and like that's that's awesome. So, but as for the venue itself, I mean, here in LA, it's a little more down to earth than you think. They have a very open community, and they'll give a lot of people a chance. But I mean,
Right on.
our most so the first time we played there, we were opening for a larger band. And then our most recent show, it was our first headline show ever. So that was really cool, to see, look and oh wow, we're at the top of the billboard, So,
Did you take some?
but yeah,
Did you take some pictures and stuff, or
yes, there's somewhere on our social media, there's a picture
I
of
gotta
all of
find
us
it?
standing out there in front of the billboard. But yeah, I mean, being able to get out there and see. I mean, it's a lot of our close friends and family who come out to see us here. But I mean, it's just even still seeing everybody out
Yeah.
there and getting the energy in the room and
Yeah,
yeah,
you get the
it's
live, you
awesome.
get the live vibe, right? So
Yeah, you know. But
you talked about like when
real
you were,
quick,
oh,
actually,
sorry, go ahead.
real
Yeah.
quick. I will say on that note, that the show in question that we're talking about at the whiskey, we've actually been releasing a song from it because we had it recorded. We've been releasing a
Oh,
song from it every week on our YouTube channel. So if you're interested in seeing some of this footage, you can head on over to our YouTube channel, Wings of Steel Band, or it's just Wings of Steel, and
Wings of
check it
Steel.
out. Yep.
Hey, we'll get that. We'll make sure that we get that in the notes so folks can click on it and come check it out and stuff. And I was gonna say, you mentioned like, hey, when you were younger, you're thinking, I want to play and I want to play guitar or whatever. So you've manifested your dream so far in terms of being able to do that, right?
So far, so good.
So look at as you're doing this and you guys have got your two albums out. I'm sure you've met a lot of people. I know whenever I start my own adventures and things that I'm doing, there's never any shortage of anybody who wants to give me advice on how to do things better, how to do things right, how to do things a certain way. Have you gotten advice along the way, and have you gotten any good advice that you go, yeah, man, that was good advice, and what was it, and who might have given that to you?
Um, it's kind of an interesting question because when I just think back off the top of my head, it's hard to well I can think about some miscellaneous pieces of advice that I've gained, picked up throughout the years, but I mean, it really is. I think it's been more of a gradual learning experience, and I'm not. I don't want to. I don't mean that in the sense where like, oh, I figured out everything myself. Like, no, you go through life and you learn your experiences and you pick stuff up, and I mean, just from the guitar standpoint, I've had a couple of teachers. I went to music school, and I mean, still to this day, I'll go and I'll learn songs from bands that I like, or I'll go check out some guy's master class or whatever. I'm always looking to expand my knowledge and everything. And
Yeah,
I mean, that applies for my music business knowledge, and I mean, pretty much anything else in life. And I think you know I guess if there's a piece of I've probably heard this piece of advice, heard somewhere, but I mean, you're always learning stuff and you're always growing, and that's just make sure you're receptive to it. But at the same time too, there's also like don't let other people make you think that you need to do something. Just do you,
yeah,
life is too short.
yeah,
But and then I'll just say it just for fun. Okay, so you want a direct quote piece of advice. My my dad's stepmom, this is funny. She had this piece of advice. It says, okay, if it has tits or if it has tires, it's expensive. So
yeah. And that's what you remembered.
that was when you said piece of advice, that was what kind of came to my mind. But
We tie it back to so many things.
yeah.
So hey, look at on the heels of advice, have you gotten yourself into any kind of trouble at all in this journey, or
Well, I mean, not like I had any run-ins with the law or anything like that, but
no
uh
riots, no
no, I think I've managed to be pretty low key. But I mean I will say, and kind of similar to that, like the big I think for us, and I think actually for most, this is the case with most bands out there, the challenging thing isn't necessarily writing good music and putting on a live show and getting all that stuff together. The challenging thing is promoting it and running it and dealing
yeah,
with the business. And like I mean, the thing is, being an independent band, like this is the amount of work that I have to do, all the emails and coordination and management and everything. Like, it's a lot of work. And, go back to 10-year-old me, I wasn't thinking that I'd be, spending 3 hours a day writing emails. And that was what being a musician was like. Now, you got to take that with a grain of salt too. Like, we're at a smaller point in our career. It's not like we
yeah,
have a lot of money to pay a lot of, pay a whole
yeah,
team of people to address this stuff. And, we'll get there. But there's certainly been, plenty of lessons that we've had to learn the hard way. But we learn from it and we keep moving forward, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. And you know what? I think down the road, you say, well, we may have a different management team or people looking after some other things for us, but at least you have the experience of when you have those conversations with them, having done some of this stuff on your own. And like you say, there's a lot of independent artists out there that have to figure that side of it out. And maybe that's not what they first thought of because they just want to play music, right? I just want to play music. I just want to entertain people, but it's hard to
Yes.
do that without taking care of the back end for it, eh?
It
So
is. I mean, I think, I think a saying I've heard somewhere is like, you can write the greatest song in the world, but if you're out in the middle of the forest and, nobody except for the birds is going to hear it, you gotta like, that's, and I mean, the case, case in point goes to show, I think nowadays, because of the internet, like, and a lot of really diehard fans and stuff, like, there's a lot of really, really awesome music
yeah.
that's super underground that you never heard about just because the things on the business end were not dialed in.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting though is that underground, that indie underground, I'm watching it and it just keeps rising and rising and rising. Like more people are tuning into it, more people are looking just beyond some of the mainstream, radio play and other things like that and going, man, there's some really good stuff out there. And what is it? I just keep seeing this arc. So maybe there's something more to it. And maybe you guys are a bit of a catalyst in how you're playing and how you've been doing that so far. Um, Parker, you brought up Leather and Lace earlier when I talked about, special song or things like that. You just recently released a video for it and it's wild. The videos, it's smoky, it's got some, epic god light coming from behind the band and Leo's voice reaches the heavens on that song. It's just wild and you guys look like you're having a blast, but tell us more. Tell us more about Leather and Lace. Tell us more about the video, the shooting of the video, maybe, and what's going on and all that stuff.
So I mean, it's always and I mean, this is similar on a similar note, like, when people ask me about the EP or the album, they say, what's your favorite song? And it's like picking a favorite child. Like they all have a piece of your thing in there, and it's like, well, yeah, I really like this song for this reason, but this so. But point being is like, part of marketing and part of doing the thing is you got to do a music video.
Yeah.
Because the thing is like it's good, if you have the music, that's great, and that's the foundation of everything. But if you put a visual to that music, I think people can really connect with it really well. So, there's two music videos from the Gates of Twilight album. Leather and Lace, first one. Garden of Eden is the second one.
Garden of Eden,
Uh,
yeah.
we chose those songs as music videos for a variety of reasons, but at the end of the day, they're just the ones that happen to be the video. But anyways, so about the video shoot itself, I mean, it really, it's kind of the same thing like our artwork. We're just, okay, we're gonna do a video for this song. What can we do? And then, there's the added factor with music videos, and like we're an independent band, like we don't have an excess of cash to spend on a big production, so we
Yeah.
had to we kind of came up with a vision, and we're like, okay, how can we bring that to life with our budget? So yeah, we rented out a warehouse space. We got together with our videographer, set it up, and we're like, cool, let's see how it turns out. And so that video, actually, we shot that video May 13th, which is like six days before the album came out.
Oh, wow.
Um, and if anybody out there has ever edited a music video or knows anything like that, like between shoot to get it shot and edited and finished and released in 5 days, like that's some pretty
Wow.
that's some pretty good work right there. But also, so on that date that we shot the Leather and Lace music video, on that same location, we actually shot the second music video from the album, which was Garden of Eden.
Right.
No, that one, we because we had the first one out, we're like, okay, we don't need to release it immediately. We can take some time and then let it come out later to keep the excitement
Yeah.
going. And so that one came out back in September now. But yeah, they were both shot on
The
the same
videos
location in the same day.
videos look great. They look big. No one like I wouldn't know any other wise if you say, oh, we did it on this type of budget or that type of budget. I'm actually amazed, like as I've been talking to artists, what you guys have been doing with videos lately, and with your budgets and things like that. You're making them look and feel big. And again, I keep using the words like authentic and real. So hats off to you for doing that. And if folks haven't seen it, we're gonna put the links in the notes here, because I keep watching and I have that one saved. Just love that video, leather and lace. I know you have the Garden of Eden one too. I like that one too. But there's something about the leather and lace. I don't know. It just speaks to me, speaks to my I don't know, inner rocker, if you will. Now you said, look, at people ask me what's my favorite song, and they're all different. I get it. Yeah, a lot of musicians will say, look, they're all my babies, and they're all my babies for different reasons. So let me ask you a different question. Is there a favorite song that you have that you like to perform live, like that just gives you that extra, like you get in the pocket, you get in the zone with your guitar, and you talked about earlier, you got the vibe off the audience, and you just fits.
Well, I will say, like, to be fair, there's still three songs on the new album we've never played live. There's a song on the EP that we've never played live. So and in total as a band, we've only done three shows. So it's
Yeah.
to be fair, like, there's probably, I'm sure if we got to play some of these songs a little more, I might be able
Yeah.
to provide you with a much more in-depth answer. But based off of what we've done so far,
Yeah.
I mean, every song has its moments, but I mean, let's start with the EP, the Storm Child, man. Like, we were playing that at our last show, and it's just it that's like, if you weren't there already, like, people are like, and like, I don't know, there's something about the lyrics on that song that just, it catches on with people, and like,
Yeah.
to hear, like, I'm looking at Leo. I'm like, you don't need to sing this one. Like, they got it, And I think that's one of the, the coolest things in the world, is to hear the the audience singing your music back to you. You're like,
Yeah.
wow. I mean, to go off on a little bit of a tangent, I saw Metallica played out here in LA back in August. And it's big. They were at SoFi Stadium. There's like something like 70,000 people there or whatever.
Yeah.
And I bought, I didn't have a lot of them. I got like a very far nosebleed seat, and the sound was so reverbery and washy up there. But like, when they were playing some of these songs, and like everyone's just going, it's
Yeah.
70,000 people. You're just like, whoa, crazy, crazy stuff. And I mean, even we're not playing at SoFi, we're playing at the Whiskey. But I mean, even that, like, that energy and that coming from people is incredible. But anyways, back to the question though.
Yeah.
Another song that's and this is a song from the new album that I really like to play is Into the Sun, because it has a nice long guitar solo, and that's just, I get to just be there right in the zone. And yeah, I love playing like that. That's like one of my favorite moments in the set. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And of course, of course we got to play the title track, and when
Oh
when
yeah.
we hit that first chord, and everyone's like, yeah, so that's
Yeah. The
always
title track
that's
rocks.
always great. Yeah.
No, and that's good. That's what I meant. Like, I get it. Like, you like all of it and you play all of it, but sometimes you just have these little moments where there's just part of a song that you're in that pocket, and everything kind of just feels right, and you go, yeah, you know what? So maybe Into the Sun. Maybe that's part of it, eh? Look,
That'll be my answer today. It might change, if you talk to me after I play some more shows, or it could be
yeah,
a
man.
different.
And it would make sense if it does change, Parker. It would make sense. Um, Look, at earlier on, you said, hey, you gave us a little breadcrumb. You said, looking at a European tour. We're not promising anything. We're looking at, touring a little bit in the USA, more to come, no promises. Outside of the tours, what else should we expect from Wings of Steel? Or, like, as we close out our chat here, is there a message you'd like to give your fans, or that you'd like to leave us with today?
So on the band endeavor front, so like I mentioned earlier, we've been releasing live footage from our recent Whiskey a Go Go show on our YouTube channel. So
Yeah.
go and check that out, and hear how the band sounds live. And yeah, we love to hear what you guys think, and that's another cool thing we got going on. And then also, it's looking like it's going to be sometime in December. Keep us will An exact release date will be announced when it's ready, and we'll probably have a pre-sale before this. But we have our very first edition of vinyls coming out.
Oh,
And that will
sweet.
be for both Gates of Twilight and the Wings of Steel EP. So follow us on our social medias. Let's Wings of Steel Band on Instagram. I believe it's Wings of Steel on Facebook, and then on YouTube, Wings of Steel, for updates, and so you can stay in the loop and know when all this stuff is coming out. But yeah, and I mean just overall message for anybody watching this. I mean, for all the fans, and for everybody who's supported us or bought one of our CDs or dropped a comment or even just listened to our music. I mean, like, thank you. Like, we wouldn't our trajectory as a band and growth and our ability to continue doing this, it's dependent on the response from you guys, and it's been really humbling, and it's super awesome. Like, me and Leo, we just sit here in my room. We're like, let's write some music, and it's like to see it going out there and doing that. It's just it's incredibly, it's mind blowing. And yeah, hopefully we have our logistical situation is what it is, but we are coming for you live. Don't worry. As soon as we have the opportunity, we will be there. So hang tight, follow us, and stay in the loop. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you.
Parker is humble and thankful. We have been riding the Wings of Steel with lead guitarist Parker Halub, joining us from the City of Angels as we talked Gates of Twilight and more. If you have a listen to the album, I'm certain that you will fall in love as you rock with Parker, Leo, and the band into the sun and find your Garden of Eden. I will have all of the Wings of Steel contact info in the show notes. Thanks for doing this with us again, Parker. I hope you'll come back and keep on rocking.
Thanks for having me.